Hello everyone, this is presentation video 1 of full stack banking application. I will follow the rubric and try to be as brief as possible. So let's start. Present a diagram explaining the front end, middle tier and back end of your application. Here's my front end, middle tier and back end. My front end is built using Create React App with browser router for the routing, process.env.node.env to determine if the app is running in production mode. Then I can set a variable to either localhost or the deployed app's location. I am using a single CSS file and all my components are placed in one directory. I removed React's strict mode because it renders everything twice, and that means saving twice to the database in some instances of my code. My front end connects to the middle tier using Axios. I am not using Super Agent. Okay, then let's continue with the middle tier. It has cores to allow cross-origin requests, path and URL to get the directory name, which I found necessary for the app to function properly when deployed and when the user clicks refresh. I used Chalk to highlight console logs because it looks nice. And at the back end, I used Firebase email and password authentication, and for the database, MongoDB Atlas using a DAL. And now we continue with describe the component architecture of the front end. We will jump into the diagram in just a bit, but first let's take a look at the code. At the top level, you can see the router and the context. Then there's the nav bar, and then there's the routes for the landing page, sign up, login, and the rest. And finally, a pop-up component. Here's the diagram, which shows pretty much the same. At the top level, it's the app with the router, state, and context. Then we have the navbar, routes, and the pop-up component. Then all the routes, we have the landing page, sign up, login, etc. And finally, we have the smaller components or subcomponents, if you will. And as you can see, it's very simple. And now let's go with describe my user interface design decisions. First, we have a log status at the top right corner because it's required. So then I continued with navbar at the top. In the center, we have the actions, and on the left, we have the bottom to start our main, and the rest is for the content, all the contents. Okay, now let's continue with highlight at least two methods of authentication. I did not read carefully enough the requirements here, and I noticed late in the process that two authentication methods were required. So I thought we could choose to develop one or the other. So since I did not want to modify my code that late in the process to prevent unknown issues that might come up, I offer Firebase email and password authentication. These are the methods or functions that I use for this purpose. Why did I take this approach? Because it's the process I'm most comfortable with. And what challenges did I encounter when establishing authentication? We already had an exercise, but we used web version 8 and my project is in module mode. And how did I overcome them? Well, luckily, Google has side by side both ways to implement this, so it was not that difficult. So that's it for video 1, and I will see you in video 2.